Good morning. I want to introduce myself again. I'm Brad Martin, Senior Manufacturing Engineer at McNeilus. We're just going to talk to you about our project at the high flow line.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rohit Venkateswamy, Senior Manufacturing Engineer at McNeilus Manufacturing. All right, McNeilus Manufacturing is part of Oshkosh Corporation. Back at McNeilus Manufacturing, we build two major products. One is our concrete mixers and refuse collection vehicles. So just at a high level, we have three different concrete mixers, which is Bridgemasters, Standards, and SUVs. Refuse collection vehicles, we have front loaders, rear loaders, and side loaders. There are a lot of subcategories, like different product mixes underneath them. That's like very vast. I don't want to talk and spend time on that. All right, our main initiative is to simplify, optimize, and innovate. When we wanted to do this, we performed gap analysis to understand where are we currently. So when we did the gap analysis, our current state, we identified like key elements, which is on the screen. So I'll go through all the key elements there. First one is standard work instructions. We didn't have a clear vision of what we have for work instructions. Do we have work instructions? Yes, we had a lot of work instructions, but we didn't have a track of it. And operators' accessibility to work instructions was literally zero. Can you guys believe that? They can't access work instructions. If they need work instructions, they have to talk to their supervisors, and supervisors had to print it off, bring it over to the shop floor, use it for training purposes. And with work instructions, what we tried doing is we tried printing it out and putting it in each and every station. The problems we ran into was either we lost the documents over time, keeping up with the rev controls, rev changes was really hard. And the major problem, what we ran into was a knowledgeable person building truck. You guys know what happens. If there is a person working in a station for a long time, that person seems to know everything about the process, right? And over time, change the work instruction, nobody knows. Because he knows, that person knows what to do. So basically they'll ignore work instruction. Who cares about work instruction? I don't care, right? That's what happens. So that was a major challenge with work instructions. Materials list and tools list. Materials list is normally created by our material PFPs and tools list by our OEs, which is operations engineer. Problem is we didn't have a proper process to validate them. And when there's any change, manually update that list and keep that in your document folder where you're saving it. If somebody wants to access it, go talk to that person, right? That's like accessibility point, like that we didn't have a good solution for that. BOM maintenance. We have our JDE is our ERP system. And literally with every unit that we build, we have work orders and with BOM printed with them. So basically it's like a booklet. So if an operator wants to build, when they're building a truck or unit, they had to go through the booklet. Oh, is this what I'm supposed to do? Okay, this is my BOM. These are the parts I'm supposed to use. And you guys think they're going to do this every time? No. No, that's the problem. Just in case if they find out there's any discrepancy, there's a BOM error. The only way to communicate that was either talking to the supervisor, which is going to be like verbal, or send out an email. And is it getting documented? No. So that was the biggest challenge too. Deviation management. If there is any deviation required, which is any process or part or drawing that needs to be changed. Deviation management. That was hard too. The only way we are doing that process, what we are following for that, is filling out a paper form, getting it signed from every stakeholders, and it was all manual. And finally, it was being sent out to quality team, and that's where that is being documented. Built-in quality, we didn't even have a guarantee that operators are following work instructions. So there was no standard process set up to make sure that we are having built-in quality in every unit we're building. Line balancing, that's other challenging part for us. We had to have a designated resource who will go gather all the data for us. And that data, whatever we are gathering, is limited to the number of units that person follow. And other fun thing is, there's other way of getting data, which is going to the operator or supervisor and say, hey, how much time do you think it's going to take to build this? You guys think that's going to be an accurate data? It might be 1 hour, 2 hours. We don't know. It's up to the operators. Like, we don't know. The operator might be in a good mood that day. I'll build it in 30 minutes. Next day you go ask him, I'll build it in 45 minutes. Time is not the same. And if you're using that for line balancing, it's never going to be accurate. Hard issue management. We didn't have a good process for that. It's still verbal or email based. So we created our desired state. Where would we like to be? These are all the challenges. I just mentioned about all the challenges. So we wanted to find out what's required so we can bridge this gap between current state and desired state. All right. So I would like to say we follow four capabilities back in McNeilus, and with the high flow line project, that was our winning mantra for our success of the new project. So first capability is designing a system to reveal problems. I just explained all the problems what we had. You guys think that the process what we had was set up in a way that we can reveal problems? No, because there was always a way to work around it. So we wanted to design a system to reveal problems, so there shouldn't be no workarounds. So what we found out was Proplanner was a major tool that could help us bridge the gap between current state and the desired state. So bringing in Proplanner with work instructions, every activity in Proplanner requires work instructions. That assures that we have 100% work instructions. And operators using it, they have to go and make sure each and every step or activity they are performed is to the work instructions. That makes sure that operators following work instructions. Moreover, we are not dependent on that one person who knows how to make trucks. Materials list and tools list. Everything is created in Proplanner itself, and we have everything documented in Proplanner. So when a CN goes through, it's important that we update the materials list and tools list before the CN is through. CN is our change management system. So once it is created and it's on Proplanner, it's readily available for anybody who has access to Proplanner. They can go there, it's all there. And BOM maintenance, our ERP system, which is our JDE, is tied to Proplanner. We can directly download or import our BOM from JDE to Proplanner. Moreover, we had an option of creating MBOMs, which we didn't have before. So we could easily create MBOMs and make it go live like as early as next month. And deviation management, Proplanner has this amazing tool for creating deviations, and it can be tied to activity. And the same thing with like the BOM maintenance, we can have deviation go effective as early as next truck. We didn't have this option before. Built-in quality, I just mentioned that we were following, like operators are following every step, and they're making sure that every step is being performed as per the work instruction. So we were able to achieve built-in quality. Line balancing, every unit that is built using Proplanner has all the data captured. So if I compare to my previous state, where we had to have a designated resource who used to gather all the data, that was still limited to the number of units. Now I have more sample data with Proplanner. Every unit built has data, so I can take those units for line balancing. And also Proplanner has this feature for line balancing, which I can use for line balancing directly. Hard issue management, we have Swarm system, which is tied to Proplanner, which has been a great tool too. So one other important thing is the cloud system. Just like what Dave mentioned, Proplanner, all the data is in the cloud. It was really helpful for us, and security is the most important thing, as you guys all know. So we were able to achieve that with our DG team working with our Proplanner team and also our manufacturing team to make it possible. From here, Brad is going to take over.
All right, we're talking about a tale of two cities. Best of times, worst of times. We have our legacy line, the way McNeilus was built and continues to be run, going on in parallel with the high flow line, our project, to take this into the future. We've got manual processes and integrated processes, the high flow line, the legacy line, right? They're running side by side. The past vision and the future vision are separated by a wall of corrugated steel in our factory, right? We're making big bounds. You all know the answer to the question is Proplanner. It's a huge part of what we tried to implement. We build complex configured products, big garbage trucks. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of models. We run a mixed line on the schedule as well. So our operators have to ask the question every day, how do I build this truck? It's different than the last truck. It'll be different again on the next truck. We're answering that question every day. The high flow line made that streamlined. So when we go to do that, we live and breathe in this process right here. Proplanner has let us consolidate that. So Rohit mentioned the four capabilities. The first two of those capabilities for a highly effective line are where we shine with Proplanner the most. We design the system to reveal problems, and then we solve those problems right when they happen, where they happen, close in person, place, and time. We do it right away. You don't want problems to stay. They're like bread. The second capability comes in with the feedback. So you can start anywhere in here, but we get hot issues. Our operators are given the standard work. They're given the tools, the parts, and everything they need to get it done. And they find a problem. They feed that back to us. It's huge, right? The operators need a means by which to let us know, or they will work around it. They will find a way. They're very good at that. That leads to deviations to the process of the parts. Gives us, as the engineers, the opportunity to update the standard work, the tools, the parts, and then feed back into what they're seeing in front of them on the floor. So again, answer the question, how do I build this truck? So now I get to brag a bit, because we're really good at two of these in particular. We never had an M-bomb before. We had JDE tell us what parts go where. We had people delivering those parts, and then we had kind of a mess of how do you get those parts together in the truck, right? Now we have an M-bomb. We took that M-bomb with our project to implement Proplanner at the same time that we started using torque tools. We implemented built-in quality stations along the way. We have automated or autonomous vehicles that guide the product down the line. And JDE has to be happy when Proplanner makes a move, right? We have to be validating that data. So it's doing all of this at once. We want you to appreciate the magnitude of this project. We implemented all of these at once over the course of 2 years, 3 years. We use that M-bomb from Proplanner on the short term. So we all know how long it takes to get a change request done through the process, all the stakeholders to sign off, and get it into actual E-bomb status. While we're using that short-term bomb of the last couple of years, we're finding a few limitations with our own process to get JDE lagging behind. Said a little better. Proplanner is instantaneous. We make a change, we get the update to the operators, but the people in the back office don't know that yet. It's important that we get the sign off. It's important that we bring in the actual documentation quickly behind it. Last bit is there's an MCO collaboration component that we're not quite proficient at yet, right? We're sticking just in the deviation module. It's one part of the software, and we manage it to the fine detail. This is where we got creative, though. So the operators on the screen, I'm sure you all are familiar, have the ability to put in a hot issue. It's an oh crap moment. We have created a flow diagram of how we respond to those issues so that the information gets to who it needs to get to solve the problem quickly. So again, capability number 2, we solve problems close to the person, place, and time. To prove that point, my boss just put in a swarm. So when an operator hits a problem in the station in real time, they put in a hot issue. I developed a workaround to get that email that's sent to go on an SMS text message. And I get that note. I hear that sound all day long. We all do, right? That's how it happens. We get everyone that needs to be there immediately on the scene. Materials, quality, design, production, operations. Imagine a representative from every department that matters in the station next to the operator in 5 minutes. That's what we do. We've seen great success. And of course, if that's not going to work, we got non-standard processes, we're unhappy with the solution, or we don't find the root cause, managers get involved. We put in another swarm. And that select email group of people get a message and they respond. My boss, materials manager, so on and so forth. And if that doesn't do it, Dave comes. Right? We get directors, the director of manufacturing, the director of quality, so on and so forth, come to the line if we get to a level 3. It all happens within 20 minutes, right? And of course, if there's a safety risk, it's a separate button. Everyone shows up, all hands on deck. Fix the problem right now. We do not move the line until it's better. This has been huge for us. And I would encourage anyone that's interested in getting response to the line and problems root caused, solved, and sustained quickly. Come find me after. We've learned a lot. We got a lot to share about. You guys have probably seen these. More importantly, we've implemented the and-on, the visual management. How do I know if I'm doing the right thing at the right time? At 3 different levels. The operators are in the station, they're working. Above them on the scaffolding are TVs between every station on a scaffold. They see their tack time, they see their cycle time, they understand if they're on pace. They know that they're doing the work right. The Proplanner is presenting them with the right parts, the right steps, and the right tools. Now we know if they're doing it fast enough. That data, of course, feeds back into our reporting system that we use. Cycle continues. This is just a little taste of what you all are missing out on. If you don't work for McNeilus, that's just a morsel. In the top right here, for those that are in-house, those screens are what I was referring to that are hung up in the station. Operators see that. Just a simple tack time, cycle time, green, red situation. Let you know if they're on break as well. Over here, we have just outside of the production manager's office, 6 screens. We're only using 3. We got a runway, right? We got to figure out what to do with the rest of it. We've got so much data now that we've never had before. We're just trying to decide what the 3 most important things are. Dan and the team have helped with that a lot. And the 3 that you see, they're red because it's proprietary information. I couldn't show you how green it actually is. But trust me, it is. We're tracking throughput, first pass yield, and lead time. Our metrics that tell us whether we're making good on our investment to the company, right? And then bottom right, you get to see in orange the autonomously guided vehicles that we use to carry multi-ton boxes of steel in a nice track. And then on the very far right of that bottom right picture, in blue is the lift. We've got really large machinery. We've got autonomously guided vehicles, Proplanner in the stations, displays, visual management, everything you can imagine. This has been foundational change to the company. Me and Rohit and Trevon, and our boss Kirby, have been hard at work making that happen. So we're looking forward to also hearing from you guys to see what more we can do. Next steps, we're backflushing manually today. That's a challenge. We know that we can get better. JDE has to be backflushed by hand. Wouldn't it be great if Proplanner, who already understands the BOM, could update that for us? We're working towards that. Time studies in the actual module itself and torque tool connections that we're going to learn about today.
Thank you. Great. Quick questions from the folks that are physically here for the group, and then we can go to online questions as well. So anyone in the room? Go ahead.
I think talk about form.
Yes.
Is that integrated into software, or is that a kind of standalone system?
He's asking about the swarm system. The hot issues is part of the program. It's a button response from the operator in their view on the screen. We took that to the swarm level process flow on our own. We decided what was the conditional statement that would lead us to escalate or to solve and sign off.
So the software was the trigger.
Bingo, bingo. And the emails weren't working enough for us. It sends an email automatically to a targeted group. We needed to go to that next level. That's where we got the SMS, which they're developing now as a standard process. Huge improvement. The operator, it builds goodwill with the operator at the base. There's going to be some time where they don't trust it, but eventually they get pretty happy to push it. All right. Good question.
What's your work instructions?
Yes.
What are some of the key improvements of using this source to create them as opposed to homegrown template, for example?
Asking about the benefits to this standard work presentation compared to the past.
Yeah.
To be honest, the quality of the standard work didn't change. Quite frankly, we use screenshots of our old standard work in the software. What's better is the presentation and the accuracy. Those 2 things alone, I don't have any rev control issues because it's instantaneous. And the images that I am providing to them, the steps and the tools and the torque values and all that, right? The quality checks, that's happening immediately. I'm able to modify it. I can make it red and bold, and big, change the picture. I love it when I get that question on this truck, and then 30 minutes later, the next cycle happens, and they're seeing that improvement. That's the benefit.
So that there is enough of a reason to take the point, right?
By and large,
Yes, okay.
easy.
Adding on also accessibility, like what I mentioned before, our operators have like zero accessibility to any work instructions. Now with Proplanner, they can view, they have to, it's not can, it's like they have, they must.
Right.
Yeah.
They must go through every action.
I have another follow-up, but do they actually pay attention to them more than they did in the past?
Absolutely.
So we have this option on shop floor viewer where they have to select yes or no. Did you guys actually do this step right? Verify yes or no. If it's no, you can't even go to the next step. So that helps.
You guys are tracking time
Yes.
per station per unit.
For you.
So
Yes.
they don't go through their instructions. You can see that they.
You could repeat that question.
Second.
That's correct.
That's.
Jared, talking about our tracking of the cycle time, the data are things I breeze through is we're a data company. We used to be just a garbage truck company, but now we're collecting just oodles of data. I've got cycle time, I've got expected time, I've got brakes, etc. We actually have to use that. And learning to use that is applied most readily to cycle time and the ability for operators to do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. And that's a dance, right?
Union shop not. Union shop not.
Non-union.
I think you also are recording which operators were on those activities for that specific serial number unit. So if there's a problem later, you have that, where before you had none of that, right?
Yes,
That's correct.
yes.
Has that been useful?
That was a bigger challenge before. We took a lot of steps, like I'm talking before Proplanner. We made operators inspect, for example, if a welding or something, or probably like a hydraulic fitting tightening. We made them inspect it and put their serial numbers on it, like probably like signatures, initials on it, just for us to track it later on. Now with Proplanner, it's been great help. Now we know this unit, this station, who signed in, what time did they sign in, what time did they sign on. We get all that data.
There's a common perception, I think, among laborers, operators, associates, that the oversight is in some way detrimental to their productivity or their life. They're being watched. It's a big brother mentality, right? I like to tell our people when the Proplanner is rolling out, who just came from a world where that can be true sometimes, that the data protects them. And I can't protect them any better without data. I can't prove my point. I can't prove their point. I cannot protect them in the process. We talk about this as our house. We protect our house. Our line, our standards, what we do and how we do it is really important to us because we built it.
How long did it take you to establish that trust? Assuming that.
It's a work in progress, and it always will be. But we're at a point now where it's not talked about every time. We don't have to lay that groundwork. When they put in a hot issue, they know they're going to get help. We're undoing 20 years of really hard work, right? Don't get me wrong. We did a great job. We're still the best garbage truck makers in the world, by far, obviously. But we got a lot of ground to make up because you can't track it without an MES system. Now we can track it and kind of, like, oh, you get a lot of like, I told people this last year. I've been talking about this for 2 years. Why is this bolt still an inch too short? I don't know. Trust me, I'm going to fix it now, though. You do that for a few months. I don't know why it didn't happen before, but it's going to happen now. And it happens. But in the deviation, right? You update the activity, increase the part, you get design on board, you get the whole thing. That's the beauty. It's an ecosystem, whereas before it was disjointed.
How long have you been using this software?
Proficiently. He asked how long I've been using the software.
Hey, I'm in a mirror. I'm in
Dan-
a glass house. going
Yeah,
on.
Dan, Jared and I started using the software some 2 years ago now, it seems. Proficiently in a way that we could apply. It's been a year, I would say confidently. We're really getting proficient at it now. And like I was bragging about, the deviations and the hot issues, our response process.
How's plant performance during this period? How's plant performance been during this launching period or implementation period?
Been good. It's hard to
Have you noticed an
answer.
improvement? Have you noticed any-
It's hard to answer in metrics because it didn't exist. Could have been in this room and we're gonna build trucks in here. So we set it up from scratch. But we have achieved our goals. We continue to achieve, to get closer to the ones that we're working towards. We're better than the legacy. Right, hands down. We've got to keep improving.
Was the speak to the employees slow down so you can speed up because of having to click through that type of process?
Yes, if the message to the operators was kind of slow down and speed up, right? Pay attention, work through each step. The answer is yes. It's a dance, it's a balance. All right, we're all people, we're all humans. If I go to somebody and just tell them what to do, you get pushback, right? You have to have a conversation. And I think bringing your operators up, leveling them up, we call it, so that they're a part of it, right? And they feel that they're a part of it, helps. So at first it was that. It was a lot of, you have to click this. Me putting into the authority permissions. You have to click this. You need to do this. And that's kind of scaled back a little bit because they do it anyway. We know that they need to, but I don't have to force it. But yeah, I'd say the conversation continues to be when you get a little frantic, production's a little heavy, a little hot outside, start getting a little hyped up. The message has to come out and say, hey, hot issue. What's the root cause? What's the solution? Who needs to sign off? Even if it feels different, slow down. You have 82 minutes. Look at the screen, right? You always point at the tools. You have 82 minutes. Slow down.
What's the question over here?
Actually, there's some, just gotta ask you, you know, since like how have you interacted with the screen? Multi-party, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's good.
If you could repeat.
Yeah, gentleman's asking what kind of pushback we got implementing the shop floor viewer, which is digital, on a screen as opposed to the old way, tribal knowledge or paper. You want to take that one?
So like what I mentioned before, when we had that knowledgeable person building the trucks, it was always dependent on that. If I had to build the same truck somewhere else, like when I say somewhere else, if we are introducing a new change or something like that, and I want to build a truck in R&D, I had to go pick that person off the line, bring him over there, tell us how to build this. With Proplanner in there, we have everything documented. We don't need that person. Anybody is skilled enough to do the work is capable of doing that work. So that was really helpful.
If I could add one,
Go ahead, real quick.
the pushback is real and it continues. Once you get away from the I don't want to use the computer bit, then you get to I have to use the computer bit. Tablets are a great example of an improvement that I would recommend. Getting people their work to where they're doing it as opposed to a central guest. That's a big improvement that we want to move to.